Welcome to the ultimate guide to the music business for independent artists. Over the years, I've learned the highs, the lows, and all the lessons every artist faces when trying to build a career in music. In this video, I'm bringing together everything I've learned, from money, mindset, record deals, so you can navigate the music industry with confidence. Let's start where it all began, losing myself in the music industry and how I found my way back. Imagine playing Tomorrowland in Ushuaia when you're 21, releasing songs that hit over 100 million streams and traveling the world doing what you love. But deep down, you feel completely empty. That was me in 2017, and it's why I walked away from the music business. But this isn't just a story about leaving. It's a story about mental health, self-belief, and rediscovering your true purpose. Because after losing everything, from my career to all the money I made in music, I had to rebuild myself from scratch. And years later, music found me again. In this video, I want to share my journey, why I left the music industry and even creating music, the years I spent lost chasing the wrong things, and how I finally came back. Not for fame, not for numbers, but because creating music is what I was meant to do. This is why I left the music business, and this is why I came back. Let's go back to the year 2017. The year I decided to leave the business. I just came off a few years of living my dreams. I released about 30 tracks on the biggest dance labels, released songs like Arcadia, Deja Vu and Zodiac that combined over 100 million streams back then. I played shows all over the world, from Tomorrowland to Ushuaia, from Asia tours to Europe tours. It was great on paper, but it didn't feel great. In 2016 I noticed the music I was making, big room EDM, wasn't as popular anymore as the years before. Not only me, but everyone around me was noticing it too. Getting booked and playing shows was not as easy anymore as the years prior. Keep in mind, at this time I was 22 years old and my mindset was completely different from my mindset now. Now I am 32 and have a much better understanding about life. Anyway, let's go back to the end of 2016. Because the big room sound wasn't as big anymore, I was told to do more radio and commercial stuff. This was also the time Spotify became a big thing, and for example Closer by the Chainsmokers was the most popular song in the world. I was, you can say desperately, trying to do the same kind of music. But you can already tell, for me it wasn't working, because I couldn't put my soul into it. So fast forward to a year later, summer 2017, my music wasn't being picked up that great anymore, and my shows weren't paying as much as I used to, so I had to travel alone all the time. Also was I stressing a lot about being able to do any shows the months after. So I was looking into other ways to make money and found something that would truly change my life in both good and bad ways for the coming years. I discovered Bitcoin and crypto and I thought I had found the way out. Well, that turned out to be different. I went from extreme high highs to the lowest lows of my life. When 2018 started, I had quit doing shows and stopped making music for a few months already. It felt great at first because I didn't feel the pressure anymore of putting new music out every month. However, it all changed the year after. Having all your money in crypto and basically not knowing what you're doing brought me deep stress and sleepless nights. To make it worse, just a year later in 2019, I basically lost almost everything I had. So all the money I made from music, from touring in the past 5 years too. I was completely lost at this time. I gave up my music career for this life and I lost all money. And now we fast forward 2021. For the past years I was just trying stuff to make it work. Even went back to university for a few months. But of course it didn't work out. Now in 2021 I got the chance to come back in the music industry and was offered a job as A&R at Afrojack and Wall Recordings. This is the place where I got that itch again to start making music. I worked there for more than 2 years till the end of 2023 and I love to learn more about the business side of the music industry, something I didn't know anything about. Here I learned what royalties were, how music gets released, the marketing and basically all the work that goes into putting the music out to the world. Being surrounded by other artists all day and seeing them work in high-end studios inspired me to slowly start working on music again. Now fast forward 2024. I was not working at Afrojack anymore and one day I was just going through some music I made and showed my girlfriend something I made in the months before. She loved it and said, "Why don't you just release it on your own?" I never even thought about it. I thought it was never good enough to release it. So a month later I did, and even though the song didn't do well in terms of streams, it was a big step towards releasing music again. Now we go a few months later to the end of 2024 and I mark this moment as the beginning of my comeback. In September 24, I was finally making music again on a daily basis after 6 or 7 years, when I got a text by Revealed asking me if I wanted to play during ADE at their Legacy vs Destiny event, together with Call the Boss and Mansa. I could not believe it. This couldn't be just a coincidence. The year I finally started making music again was also the year I got asked to do a show again. I will not talk here about fate or religion, but I surely know that this was meant to be. It was the perfect timing. Playing there really brought back so many memories and a feeling I hadn't felt in so long. My girlfriend was with me and she also felt the love we got from the EDM fans. That was the main reason I decided to fully focus on making music, and the goal was to get a release on Revealed again. It still took me 6 more months and a lot of demos and rejections to get to the point of my first release, but it was so worth it. I feel like I'm finally back on the level again where I left in 2017, and maybe even better. I left the music business because I wasn't happy anymore, and I thought it had to do with making music and touring. But it was never the music part. It was the pressure of being in your 20s and thinking this had to be it. This was the only chance of living your dreams you will ever get. It was too much, so I had to get away for a few years. In those years, up till now, I've learned so much about life, and now 8 years later, I realize the whole process of creating and making music is what makes me want to get out of bed in the morning. It is what I'm supposed to do in this life. So I can say with full confidence, I am back. If you've ever walked away from your passion, I hope my story shows that it's never too late to come back. Thanks for watching, and make sure to subscribe if you want to follow this new chapter of my music journey. That experience reminded me that the music industry can shape you, but it shouldn't define you. Once you rediscover why you make music, it's time to stop waiting for the perfect moment and just start. There's something you need to hear today, and I don't want you to hear it, I want you to feel it, because it might be the one thing standing between you and the life you have been dreaming of. The thing is simple. Just start creating. Start writing. Start recording that song. Start sketching, filming, building, designing, whatever your dream is. Just start. Because here's the truth nobody really tells you. Life goes by so incredibly fast. You blink and months are gone. You blink again and it's years. And here's the danger most people don't realize. Waiting, doubt and fear is what kills more dreams than failure ever will. Every day you wait, you're teaching yourself that your dreams can sit on the shelf. Every day you wait, you make it harder to start. You think you're buying time, but you're really wasting it. And the truth? People don't fail because they tried and lost. They fail because they waited and life passed them by. Don't let waiting be the thing that buries your dream. And in those years, you could either be sitting there saying, man, I wish I started back then. Or you could look back and say, I'm so glad I began, even when I wasn't ready, even when it wasn't perfect. Perfection isn't the goal right now. Momentum is, action is, legacy is. And here's something you have to understand. You're never going to feel ready. You will tell yourself you need more time, more skills, more confidence, more money. But that feeling of being fully ready, it doesn't exist. Every creator, every entrepreneur, every musician, every dream chaser you admire, they all started before they felt ready. They learned as they went. They grew along the way. And that's how it works. You don't wait to feel ready. You start and then you become ready. The growth, the confidence, the skills, they don't show up before you begin. They show up because you begin. That song sitting in your laptop, just put it out. That business idea you've been overthinking, start building it. That skill you've always wanted to learn, open YouTube, open a course and learn it today. Don't wait for permission. Don't wait for the perfect time. There is no perfect time. There's only right now. And I don't want to sound dramatic, but hear me. It can all be over before you know it. Tomorrow isn't promised. Next year isn't guaranteed. So why hold back? Why silence your own voice? Why keep your best self locked up in your head when the world is waiting to see it, hear it, or feel it? Start building that catalog. Start building that portfolio. Start building that legacy. Because every masterpiece began as a rough sketch. Every hit song began as a messy voice note. Every business empire began as a single step. And yours will too, but only if you start. So this is your sign. This is your wake-up call. Don't wait. Don't doubt. Don't hold back. Start today. Start scared. Start small, but just start. Because your best life, it's not something far away. It's waiting on the other side of your first step. So go. Start, live it, build it, be it. Let's go. Starting is the easy part, but staying consistent is where most artists fall off. Let's talk about what really separates the ones who make it from the ones who give up. Grit. Everybody wants to make it in the music business. We dream about the big stage, the screaming fans, the streams going crazy. But here's the truth most people don't want to hear. Talent alone won't take you there. What actually separates the artists who quit from the artists who break through is just one thing. It's called grit. Today I'm breaking down the science of perseverance and passion from Angela Duckworth's book Grit, and showing you exactly how it applies to your journey as an artist in the music business. If you've ever thought maybe I'm not talented enough or felt like this industry is impossible to break into, then this video is for you. By the end you will see why grit, not talent, is the #1 predictor of long-term success in the music. And once you understand that, you will know exactly how to approach your career differently. So what is grit? Angela Duckworth defines it as passion and perseverance for long-term goals. It's not just about working hard when you feel inspired. It's about showing up day after day, year after year, even when it's boring, even when it feels like nothing is happening. Think about your music career. Anyone can get hyped up for a few months, release a track, maybe play a couple of shows, but grit is what keeps you going when the crowd is small, when your Spotify streams are flat, and when your emails don't get answered. That's grit, choosing to keep moving forward anyway. A lot of people confuse passion with intensity. Passion isn't about burning yourself out or being obsessed every second of the day. In grit, passion means consistency of interest over time. In other words, do you keep coming back? Are you still writing, still rehearsing, still creating, even years later? That's passion. It's not a quick spark of going viral. It's a slow burn that keeps you in the game long enough to build something real. And then there's perseverance. And this is the part most people underestimate. Perseverance means not quitting after your first failure or your 10th. Every single artist you admire has failed more than you probably realize. Ed Sheeran, he played to empty rooms for years. Lady Gaga got dropped from her first record label. The Weeknd released music online and got ignored for a very long time. But they didn't stop. They adapted, they improved, and they kept going. That's perseverance. And that's why they eventually broke through while others gave up. The writer also connects grit to something called a growth mindset. This is the belief that your abilities aren't fixed, they can grow with effort. For musicians, that shift is huge. Instead of thinking, I'm not good enough, you say, I'm not good enough yet. Every gig, every studio session, every practice is an opportunity to level up. Skills in music aren't handed to you, they are built. And the artists who understand that stick around long enough to see the results. Now here's the other piece of grit. Deliberate practice. It's not just about putting in hours. It's about practicing in a way that pushes you out of your comfort zone. Recording and listening back to your mistakes, writing dozens of songs knowing most won't make the cut, reworking the same verse until it finally clicks. It's frustrating, it's uncomfortable, but that discomfort is exactly what makes you better. That's grit, choosing the grind that leads to growth. Angela Duckworth even breaks it down with a simple formula. Talent times effort is skill, and skill times effort is achievement. Which means effort counts twice. Just think about that. You don't need to be the most talented person in the room. If you put in consistent effort, you will build real skills. And then, when you apply those skills to the real world, your effort multiplies into achievement. That's why the hardworking artist, the one who keeps grinding, almost always outlasts the naturally talented artist who gives up when it gets hard. So how do you actually build grit in your own music career? Here are 5 takeaways. Number 1. Define your higher purpose. Why do you make music? To tell your story? To connect with people? To inspire? That purpose will keep you steady when things get tough. Number 2. Fall in love with the process. Don't just chase the big break. Love the writing, love the late night studio sessions, love the grind, because that's where real growth happens. Number 3. Surround yourself with gritty people. If your circle is filled with people who quit when it gets hard, you will do the same. But if you're around other artists, producers and mentors who keep pushing, their grit will rub off on you. Number 4. Aim to improve every day. Focus on pushing your abilities, even just a little bit, and commit to constant, never-ending improvement. Small progress, stacked daily, leads to massive growth over time. And number 5. Develop a growth mindset. In music, that means believing your abilities aren't fixed. They grow with effort. You may not have the range, the production skills, or the stage presence you want right now, but with practice and persistence, you will. A growth mindset makes every setback part of your training and not the end of the road. So, if you're chasing a music career, remember this. Talent sets the stage, but grit keeps the lights on. Be passionate, be persistent, and give your best every single day. If this helped you, drop a comment below and let me know how you are building grit in your own music journey. And don't forget to subscribe for more deep dives on building a real, sustainable career in music. Thanks for watching. Over the years, I've learned that grit isn't about working harder, it's about working smarter. Here are some of the biggest lessons the music business has taught me after more than 10 years in the game. I've been in the music business for over a decade, and in that time I've learned a lot. Some lessons came through wins, most came through failures, and many came through just showing up year after year. Today I want to share what I've learned. These are timeless lessons, things I wish I knew earlier. If you're an artist or creative, or thinking about becoming one, this might save you some time. Part 1. Mindset comes first. Here's the first truth. Nobody cares about your art as much as you do. And it's not a bad thing. It's actually freeing. We all think there's a spotlight on us, that everyone is watching our every move. But the truth is, people are too busy with their own lives. That means you have freedom. Freedom to experiment, freedom to fail, freedom to try again, without the whole world noticing. And that leads me to this. You have to be your own biggest believer. Sometimes even a little delusional. Because if you don't believe in your own vision, no one else will. Dream big, and when you do, you start noticing opportunities you would otherwise miss. Look at successful artists, not to compare yourself, but to remind yourself that it's possible. And here's a warning. Don't let someone who gave up on their dreams talk you out of yours. Success demands courage. And if you feel fear, doubt, or imposter syndrome, that's actually a good sign. It means you're pushing into new territory, and that's where real growth happens. But here's the thing. People only cheer for you twice. At the beginning, when you announce your dream, and at the end, when you finally succeed. The long middle part, it's usually silent, so you've got to learn how to cheer for yourself. And appreciate the small circle of people who support you the whole way through. Part 2. Fall in love with the process. So let's talk about the process of creating. It's never about your resources. It's always about your resourcefulness. I started with an old PC, the demo version of FL Studio, and some cheap speakers. And even today, I mostly just use a laptop and some headphones. The gear matters way less than what you actually do with it. And here's a big one. You have to fall in love with the process, not the results. If you're chasing validation, money, or recognition, you will burn out. But if you love creating for the sake of creating, you will last. Now let me bust a myth. People say do what you love and you will never work a day in your life. That's complete BS. If you want to master your craft, you're going to have to push. Show up when you don't feel like it. Study, improve, face challenges. That's the real work. And while you're doing the work, remember this. Iteration beats repetition. Don't just do the same thing over and over. Do, reflect, adjust, and continue. That's how progress happens. And yes, consistency is a secret. But here's the catch. Consistency looks boring in the moment, but absolutely beautiful in the end. One track probably won't change your life, but dozens and maybe hundreds, that's what creates real momentum. Part 3. Failure is feedback. Now let's talk about failure. Because if you're serious about music, you are going to fail a lot. And that's not bad. In fact, if you want to succeed faster, double the rate of your failures. Each one gives you feedback, direction, data. Not getting results isn't a reason to quit. It's a reason to improve. Failure is reflection. And remember this, pain, setbacks, and obstacles, they're not detours. They are the road. They build resilience, patience, resourcefulness, and vision. They prepare you for the dream you are chasing. And sure, pain and motivation can light the fire at the start. Maybe you want to prove people wrong, or maybe you want to escape a tough situation. But long term, motivation fades. What sustains you is your why, your purpose. That's the fuel that keeps the fire burning. Part 4. Put your work out there. Here's something practical. You have to be willing to fail in public. Don't just send your tracks to family and friends. Publish them. Put them out there. Real feedback comes from real listeners. And don't underestimate the value of a single fan. When you're starting out, one person who saves your song or adds it to their playlist, that's huge. Be grateful for every single one. A rejection? You should expect it. If a label says no, it doesn't mean you're not good. It means you're not the right fit for them at that moment. Use it as feedback, raise your standards, and get better. Part 5. Music is art plus business. Now let's switch gears, the business side. This is where a lot of artists struggle. But here's the truth. Marketing your music is just as important as making it. You can write the best song in the world, but if nobody hears it, it doesn't matter. And here's something I wish I knew earlier. You don't need a label to start. Too many artists wait around for someone to discover them. But the reality is, you can put out your music right now. Start building your audience, track by track, release by release. If you're consistent, people will find you. And eventually, labels will come knocking anyway. But by then, you will already have some leverage. And here's a game changer. Outsource what holds you back. For me, it was mastering. Once I realized I could get professional quality masters for a few $100, it freed me to focus on creating and finishing. And please learn the basics of the music business before you sign anything. Know how royalties work. Understand publishing and label deals. Sign up with the right organizations so you can collect what you are owed. I wrote a complete book about the music industry you can read in a day, and it tells you everything you need to know. One more thing. Don't quit your day job too early. Financial stress will kill your creativity faster than anything else. Use your job as a safety net while you build. Once your music consistently pays your bills, then you can think about making the jump. Part 6. Play the long game. So what does this all add up to? Longevity. You can't rush the process, but you can guarantee success if you just don't quit. One song won't change your life, but consistently releasing music and building a strong catalog over years will. And here's something most people don't talk about. Save your money. Every artist, even the ones with massive breakthroughs, experience dips in their career. Nothing lasts forever, and your peak will eventually come down. The question is not if that dip is coming, but how you're going to handle it. So be smart with your money. Invest what you earn into appreciating assets outside of music once your income starts growing. Because financial stability will give you freedom, peace of mind, and the ability to keep creating no matter what stage of your career you are in. And finally, only go for this if you truly intend to make a dent in the world. The music business is too tough, too demanding, and too unpredictable to pursue half-heartedly. But if your vision is to leave an impact, to contribute something meaningful, to create art that outlives you, then the struggle is going to be worth it. That kind of purpose will carry you through the hardest part of the journey. And when you finally get your foot in the door, after all those years of hard work, don't lose your hunger. Stay just as driven as you were on day one. And always remember why you started. So that's what I've learned after more than a decade in the music business. It's mindset, it's persistence, it's resilience, it's creativity, it's business. But above all, it's about loving the process of creating. The music industry is a long game, but if you believe in your vision, embrace failure as part of the path, keep learning and never quit, I promise you, you will find your place in it. Make sure to watch all my other videos as well if you want to learn more about the music business and the mindset that comes with it. Once your mindset is locked in, it's time to really understand how the music business works. Because if you don't know how your money moves in music, someone else will always control it. Let's break down how musicians really get paid. Ever heard the phrase, there are always two sides to every story? Well, in the music industry, every single track has two sides too. And if you don't understand both, you will never fully get how the business and the money actually works. So in this video, I'm breaking down the two sides of every song, the two copyrights you need to know, and how royalties flow to writers, artists, labels, and publishers. Let's dive in. And quick note before we start, everything I'm explaining here comes straight from my book. I wrote it because when I first started as a producer and artist, I was completely clueless about royalties. I just put out music and years later I kept getting money in my account. And honestly, I thought it was a mistake. Like one day they would ask me to pay it all back. It turns out it wasn't a mistake. I just didn't know about all the royalty streams in music. That curiosity led me to years of learning, writing it down, and finally turning it into a book. So if you like this, the book goes way deeper. Alright, let's start with the basics. Every track has two sides. The composition side, aka the publishing side. This is the melody, the lyrics, and music written by songwriters. It's the idea of a track, often captured in a demo. Then we got the recording, aka the master side, the actual recorded version of that ID, performed in the studio by an artist. This is what you hear on Spotify, Apple Music, or the radio. And here's something beginners often miss. One composition can have many recordings, like a remix, a cover, and even a parody. They all come from the same song copyright, but each one is a new master recording. Here's where the roles split. Most big artists don't write all their own songs. Some do, and we call them singer-songwriters, but a lot of pop stars have entire writing teams behind them. And that makes sense, because writers can create demos anywhere, anytime. Artists, on the other hand, need budgets, studios, and a full team to record and release. At the top level, touring and promotion take up so much time that writing often gets outsourced. That doesn't mean artists aren't creative, it just means the business runs on specialization. In the end, writers need artists to bring their songs to life, and artists need writers for a constant supply of material. And because there are two sides, there are also two copyrights. The first one is the song copyright, usually owned by the songwriter or their publisher. Then we got the sound recording or master copyright, usually owned by the label, unless the artist is independent. Copyright gives the owner control, the right to decide how a work is used, licensed, reproduced, and distributed. So if you wrote the song, you own the composition copyright. If you recorded it, you or your label owns the master copyright. Now let's move into money. First up are the publishing royalties. These pay the songwriters and the publishers. There are three main types. The first one is performance royalties. Every time your song is performed publicly, like radio, TV, live venues, streaming, and even restaurants and gyms. This is collected by a PRO like ASCAP, BMI, or PRS. At the end of the year, they track plays and pay out to writers and publishers. Number two are mechanical royalties. Every time your song is reproduced, like on a CD, download, or stream. In the US, sales and downloads go through the Harry Fox agency, while streaming is handled by the MLC. Outside the US, usually one government agency handles both payments. 3. Sync royalties. When your song is synced with video, like in movies, ads, Netflix series, or video games. The publisher licenses the song and collects a one-time fee. Plus, you will also see performance royalties every time that video is broadcast. So those are the publishing royalties. If you're a songwriter, these are your paychecks. Now let's flip it. Master royalties go to the artists and labels who recorded the song. These also come in three main forms. 1. The neighboring rights. These are the performance royalties for recordings, when the recording is played publicly, like radio, non-interactive streaming like Pandora, and also restaurants and gyms. In the US, Sound Exchange collects this and pays the artists and labels separately. Number 2, the recording revenue. This is the most straightforward one. Money from sales, downloads, or streams of the master recording. Streaming platforms like Spotify pay labels and distributors who then pay the artists according to their contract. 3. Sync royalties. The other side of the sync. To use the recording itself in a movie, ad, or game, the label or artist grants a master use license. That's another one-time fee, usually split between label and the artist. This is why sync is so powerful. One sync deal can mean a big upfront fee for the publisher side, another big fee for the master side, and ongoing performance royalties every time the video airs. And of course a spike in streams when new fans hear your song. If you own both sides, so publishing and master, you literally get paid twice. And that's why one good sync can change your whole life. So here's the big picture. Publishing royalties pay songwriters and publishers. Master royalties pay artists and labels. Together, they form the two sides of the music business. Miss one side and you leave money on the table. So now you understand the foundation. Every track has two sides, and each side has its own royalties. If you want to keep learning, make sure to subscribe. And if you want the full roadmap of the music business, check out my book, The Complete Music Industry Guide, on Amazon. Thanks for watching. Royalties are just one side of it. But today, streaming runs the show. Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube. Let's look at how streaming really pays artists. Have you ever wondered how much artists actually make from Spotify streams? Well, today we're going to break down exactly how a Spotify stream is calculated, how Spotify pays labels and distributors, and how much eventually makes its way to the artist. I'll use simple examples and numbers so you can follow along easily. Part 1. The basics of streaming payments. Unlike selling a CD or a digital download, streaming doesn't pay a fixed amount per stream. There's no set price for one single play. Instead, Spotify calculates payments based on something called the stream share, and that makes a huge difference. Part 2. How Spotify collects and splits revenue. Every month in each country, Spotify collects money in two ways. The first one is subscription fees from users, and the second one is advertising revenue from free listeners. All of that money goes into one big pot per country. Then Spotify takes around 30% off the top for operating costs, things like employees, offices, and tech infrastructure. The remaining 70% is distributed to right holders. 50% goes to the recording, that's labels and distributors, and around 20% goes to publishing, that's songwriters and publishers. The labels then pay the artist according to their artist share, and the publishing split is split between the mechanical and the performance royalties. Part 3. What is stream share? Now comes the important part, the stream share. A stream share is simply the percentage of total streams that the label or distributor generated in that country for that period. So if a label owns 2% of all streams in the US in a period, they get 2% of the US revenue for that period. Let's break it down with an example and with made up numbers. In a certain period, let's say Spotify had 30 billion streams in the US. That period, after Spotify's cut, there's $100 million left to pay out to the right holders. Imagine a label and their artists were streamed about 600 million times in that same period. 600 million divided by 30 billion equals 2% share, aka the stream share of 2%. That means the label gets 2% of $100 million, equals $2 million. How labels pay the artist then? That depends on the deal the artist has with their label or distributor. Labels usually divide their revenue according to how many streams each release got that period. Then your artist share, the percentage you negotiated in your contract, decides what you take home. Here's an example. Our superstar artist X did 30 million streams in that period. As you know, the label's total was 600 million streams, so that artist's album represents 5% of the total label streams. 5% of the label's $2 million payout equals $100,000 allocated to that album. If the artist has a 20% artist share, they will receive $20,000 for that month. And of course, this money often goes toward recouping costs like marketing, advances, and recording budget before the artist sees the final payout. So the next time you hear people asking how much does Spotify pay per stream, remember, it's not a fixed number. It depends on the total revenue in a country, the stream share of a label, and finally the artist's deal. The more streams an artist has and the better their contract, the more they will take home. I hope this breakdown made the system clear. If you found this video helpful, hit that like button and subscribe for more. I'll see you in the next one. So now you understand how streaming works, but there's a lot more money out there. Publishing, performance, mechanical royalties. Most artists leave that on the table. Here's how to collect every dollar you are owed. Hey, what's up everyone? If you ever wondered where does all the money from my music actually go, today's video is your complete step-by-step guide to collecting every single royalty you are owed as an independent musician. No label, no problem. By the end of this video, you will know exactly what to sign up for, what each royalty means, and how to make sure no money slips through the cracks. So grab a notepad, hit the like button, and let's dive in. Step 1. Performance rights. Get paid when your music is played in public. Whenever your song is performed in public, on radio, TV, streaming, or live shows, you will earn performance royalties. To collect these, sign up with a performance right organization, or PRO. Examples include ASCAP or BMI in the US, PRS in the UK, and Buma Stemra in the Netherlands, or the local PRO in your own country. These organizations issue licenses to radio stations and streaming platforms so they can legally play your music. Once you are registered, they will track performances and send you your royalties. A pro tip: if you're in the US and don't have a publisher, register as both the songwriter and the publisher. That's how you will collect both halves of your performance royalties. Step 2. Mechanical royalties. Get paid when your song is reproduced. Mechanical royalties are earned whenever your song is reproduced or copied, on CDs, downloads, or even streams. But this works differently depending on where you live. In the US, for physical sales and downloads, sign up with the Harry Fox Agency, or the HFA. For streaming mechanicals, register with the MLC, the Mechanical Licensing Collective. The MLC collects from streaming platforms like Spotify and Apple Music, but only for US streams. For international mechanicals, work with a foreign publisher or collecting agency to handle that part. Outside the US, so the rest of the world, it's much simpler. Every country has one main agency that collects mechanical royalties for everyone. In the Netherlands, for example, it's called Stemra. They collect a percentage, usually around 8 to 9%, of the wholesale price for streaming platforms, and pay it out to songwriters and publishers automatically with the performance royalties. Step 3. Sync rights. Get paid when your music is used in TV, film, or ads. Next up is sync licensing. This is when your song is used in movies, TV shows, commercials, or games. These can be huge paydays and great exposure. But most music supervisors only work with sync agencies, not individual artists. So reach out to sync agencies in your country. Submit your catalog and find out who's the best fit for your genre and sound. Once your song gets placed, you will earn an upfront sync fee plus ongoing royalties every time it is aired. Step 4. Neighboring rights. Get paid for your recordings being played in public. These are often called the artist performance royalties, aka the performance royalties for the master side. They apply to the sound recording and not the songwriting. In the US, sign up with Sound Exchange. They collect royalties from non-interactive digital radio, like Pandora, SiriusXM, or iHeartRadio. That means streaming services you can't control, not Spotify or Apple Music. Those are interactive platforms. Outside the US, neighboring rights are collected for both digital and normal FM radio, even for masters played in bars, restaurants, and gyms. Each country has its own collection society. For example, SENA in the Netherlands. Look up the organization for your neighboring rights in your country. Typically, 45% goes to the artist, 50% to the label, and 5% to a session musician fund. So make sure you are registered with your local neighboring rights organization or you are missing out on a huge income stream. Step 5. Recording revenue. Get paid for streams, sales, and downloads. Finally, let's talk about the most direct source of money. Recording revenue. This is what you earn from streaming and sales of the master. If you're an independent artist, your distributor like DistroKid, CD Baby, TuneCore, or Fuga collects this money for you directly from Spotify or Apple Music. They send you payments and reports, usually monthly. If you're signed to a label, they collect the revenue from the distributor and pay your artist royalties, usually quarterly or twice a year, based on your contract. A pro tip is this: always check your royalty statements carefully. Labels and distributors sometimes make reporting errors, and you don't want to leave money unclaimed. Here's a bonus step. Go global. If you're already earning in one country, you might be missing out overseas. Join global collection networks or use administrators like Songtrust or Centric Music Publishing. They will help you collect from dozens of countries without needing to sign up with each organization manually. Let's quickly recap the 5 steps to collect all your music money. 1. Sign up with a PRO for performance royalties for the publishing side. 2. Register with the MLC or Harry Fox agency and your local mechanical agency for mechanicals. 3. Work with a sync agency for film and TV placements. 4. Join Sound Exchange or your local neighboring rights organization for neighboring rights royalties. And 5. Use a distributor for your streaming and sales revenue. And don't forget, if you're serious about turning your music into a business, treat it like one. Register all your tracks and songs, track your earnings, and stay organized. Every stream, every play, and every download counts. If this video helped you, hit that like button, subscribe for more music business tips, and check out all my other videos linked below about the music business. Until next time, keep creating, keep collecting, and keep owning your music. Now that you understand royalties and ownership, there's one area a lot of artists get burned: samples and covers. Using someone else's work can inspire some of the greatest music, but it also comes with some legal rules. Here's how to use covers and samples the right way, without losing your song or income. Ever wondered why some artists can cover a song freely, while others get sued for sampling just 2 seconds of a beat? Today we're breaking down samples, covers, and infringement in the music business. What's legal, what's risky, and how musicians can protect themselves. What is a sample? A sample is an existing piece of someone else's master recording, maybe a drum break, a riff, or even a single word. If you use this in one of your own tracks, it is called sampling. That recording actually has 2 owners. 1, the songwriter or publisher, who controls the composition, and 2, the label or artist, who owns the master recording. To use a sample legally, you normally need a license for both sides, one for the composition and one for the master recording. Skip either one and you are in risky territory. Sample clearance, replays, and interpolations. Now here's where it gets interesting. Sometimes you don't actually need both licenses. If you don't want to pay for the master recording license, you can create what is called a replay. That means you re-record the part of the song yourself instead of lifting the original audio. This is also known in the industry as an interpolation. Basically when you borrow the melody but record it by yourself. That way you only need to clear the publishing rights. You don't need the label's permission for the master because you never used the recording. A great example is Kanye West's hit Stronger. The hook comes from Daft Punk's Harder, Better, Faster, Stronger. But instead of using Daft Punk's original recording, Kanye's team recreated that part. That meant they only had to clear the publishing side and not the master recording. So remember, sampling is using the original audio where you need both the publishing and the master licenses. Interpolation or replay is re-recording it by yourself where you only need the publishing clearance. It's a clever workaround that's become a huge part of the modern music industry production. Part 2. What is a cover? A cover is a second or later recording of an existing composition or song. Releasing your own cover song is different. And the good news is that covers are usually much easier to do legally. But there are rules you need to follow. Here are the 5 rules for recording covers and how to apply them. Rule number 1. Covers are for audio only. A cover license lets you release your own sound recording for streaming, downloads, or CDs. It doesn't automatically give you video rights. Rule number 2. Don't change the song. You must keep the lyrics and melody the same. You can change the style or arrangement, but not rewrite the tune or the words. Rule number 3. Record it yourself. A cover means making your own recording from scratch. You can't borrow any of the original audio from the master recording. Rule number 4. Get the right license. The songwriter still deserves royalties. Normally this means getting a mechanical license, but here's the key. If you follow all these cover rules, in the US this becomes a compulsory license. That means you don't need the publisher's permission to cover the song. You just pay the royalties and they can't stop you from releasing it. Rule number 5. If you want to use it for video, it needs extra permission. A compulsory license only covers audio. If you want to sync your cover to YouTube, TikTok or film, you will need sync rights from the publisher. One important note, compulsory licenses are a US rule. Not every country has the same system. In some places, like much of Europe, you may still need direct publisher permission, even for audio only covers. Always check the rules where you release your music. An example is this. One of the best known cases of this is Dolly Parton's song I Will Always Love You. She wrote and recorded it in the 1970s, and then in 1992, Whitney Houston recorded her own version for the Bodyguard soundtrack. Whitney's version was a cover. She didn't change the lyrics or melody. She re-recorded the song completely, and royalties flowed back to Dolly as a songwriter. That cover, released under the rules of a compulsory license, went on to become one of the biggest selling singles of all time. So that shows how powerful covers can be. A new voice, new interpolation, but the law ensures the original songwriter still gets paid. Copyright infringement. Infringement happens when you use copyrighted music without the right licenses. Sometimes it's obvious, like using a melody, or other times it's more subtle. Copying a feel or groove can still land you in court. To see how this plays out, let's look at two famous cases. First up, Blurred Lines. In 2013, Robin Thicke and Pharrell Williams released a smash hit that dominated radio. But Marvin Gaye's family claimed it sounded too much like his 1970 track Got to Give It Up. Here's the wild part. They didn't sample Marvin Gaye's recording, and they didn't copy the exact melody or lyrics. What they did was capture a similar groove, like the bass line, the party atmosphere, and the vibe. And in 2015, a jury ruled in Gaye's favor, awarding his estate more than $5 million. That case shook the music industry, because it proved you could get sued not just for stealing notes, but for being too close to another artist's style. Now compare that with Vanilla Ice in 1990. His hit Ice Ice Baby used the iconic bass line from Queen and David Bowie's Under Pressure. This wasn't about style or inspiration, it was a direct copy. At first, Vanilla Ice even tried to claim it was slightly different, but everybody could hear it. He eventually settled out of court and gave Queen and Bowie their credit and royalties. Together, these stories show the spectrum. Blurred Lines was fined for copying a vibe, whereas Ice Ice Baby was fined for directly copying the audio. Both prove one thing. In music, the line between inspiration and infringements are razor thin. So here's the big picture. Covers are recreations, samples are borrowings, and infringement happens when you skip the rules. If you want to go even deeper into this subject, I cover it in my book, The Complete Music Industry Guide, that's available now on Amazon. So once you've got your music protected and cleared, the next big question hits. Do you really need a record label? Let's look at what a record label really does, and whether you should stay independent or not. Let's be honest, almost every artist at some point wonders, do I really need a record label to make it big? That's a fair question, because the role of a label has changed massively over the years. In this video, we're breaking down exactly what a label actually does, when you might need one, and why you might be better off staying independent. Let's get into it. Part 1. What a label actually does. At its core, a label's main job is to help artists grow. They do that through three main things: marketing, funding, and connections. A good label promotes your music, pushes it to playlists, sets up interviews, and sometimes even helps you get on radio or into major festivals. They also handle distribution, meaning they get your music on platforms around the world and make sure it's available everywhere people listen. But here's the truth, a label is not a guarantee of success. They can give you access, but they can't make the world care. A label will use its network and marketing team to boost your reach, but there's never a promise your release will blow up. Success still depends on how good your music is, how hard you work, and how your audience connects with what you are doing. So now let's talk about money. Labels can provide recording budget and advances. Advances are sums of money to help you create your album, shoot a music video, or pay for high-end production. That can be a huge advantage if you're trying to take your sound to the next level. However, that money usually comes with strings attached. Most label deals, especially for new artists, mean the label owns your masters, the actual sound recordings. Owning the masters gives them full control over how your music is used and where it is sold. If you ever hear artists talk about owning their masters, this is why. It's about control, leverage, and long-term income. Part 2. Why you might not need a label yet. If you're just getting started, writing, recording, and releasing your own songs, you probably don't need a label right away. These days, recording and releasing music has never been easier. You don't need a massive studio or a big label budget. Platforms like DistroKid, CD Baby, or TuneCore make it simple to distribute your music to every major streaming service. All you really need is your master file, your artwork, and a plan to get people listening. But here's the hardest part: promotion. Spotify reports that between 50 and 100,000 new tracks are uploaded every single day. That's a huge amount of competition. So how do you stand out? It all comes down to marketing and storytelling. You have to find ways to connect your music to real people. That means using social media, building your brand, and engaging with your audience consistently. You might get lucky and land on a big playlist, but relying on luck is not a strategy. Marketing your music increases the probability of success. It gives your songs a fighting chance. From the very beginning, start building your fanbase. Ask your friends and their friends to share your tracks. Build your online presence. Treat your music career like a small business, because that's exactly what it is. Part 3. When a label can actually help you. So, if you can release music yourself, why do labels still exist? Because once you reach a certain level, a label can be a great partner that takes you further. If you're a mid-level artist with a growing audience, a label's network can open doors that are otherwise hard to reach. They can get you collaborations with bigger names, access to international markets, or connections with top producers, engineers, and media outlets. Sometimes it's not even about money. It's about goodwill and relationships. In the music industry, being in the right place at the right time with the right team can make all the difference. Labels also have marketing infrastructure that can amplify what you're already doing. They have relationships with DSPs, playlist curators, and media contacts. That reach can help your releases perform better globally. But remember, labels are businesses. They invest in artists with the goal of making a return. If they're putting money into your project, they'll expect to earn it back. Part 4. What about major artists? When you reach a global level, things change again. Superstars rarely sign the same kind of deals that new artists do. Big artists often go for distribution or partnership deals instead of traditional contracts. These deals let them keep ownership of their masters and simply use the label's network to distribute and market their music worldwide. If you look at the biggest earners in the industry, most of them have some form of connection with a major label, whether through a distribution deal, a joint venture, or their own label under a major label. That's because major labels still have the scale, the global reach, and the resources that can't easily be replicated independently. But those artists are in a position of power. They're negotiating from strength and not from desperation. Part 5. The real question. What is right for you? So, do you really need a label? The answer depends entirely on where you are in your journey right now. If you're just starting out, you probably don't need a label. Focus on developing your sound, growing your fan base, and learning the business. You can stay independent and still reach millions of people. If you're already established and ready to expand your reach, then a label might be a strategic move. But even then, approach it like a business deal. Understand what you're giving up and what you're getting in return. Knowledge is your best defense in this case. The more you understand how this industry operates, the more control you will have over your future. So, to conclude this topic, the music business is evolving fast, but one thing hasn't changed. Your success still depends on your drive, your creativity, and your connection with your audience. A label can open doors, but you have to walk through them. So, before you sign anything, make sure you know exactly what you want, what you're worth, and what you're willing to give up to get it. Whether you stay independent or sign to a major, the most important thing is ownership. Ownership of your music, of your brand, and your path. Thanks for watching, and make sure to watch my other videos on the channel as well if you're serious about your career in the music business. I'll see you in the next one. Not all record deals are created equal. Before you sign anything, you need to understand what each record deal really means for your ownership and your future. Have you ever thought about signing a record deal? Maybe you've heard terms like royalties, advances, or recoupment, but what do they actually mean? In this video, we will break down the basics of record deals, how they've changed over time, and the 5 main types you need to know. Let's get started. What is a record deal? A record deal is a legal agreement between a label and an artist. The label helps fund, market, and distribute the music, while the artist usually gives up ownership of the master recordings. The deal covers things like the artist share, the royalty rate, the recoupable cost, advances, and what both sides commit to deliver. 50 years ago, artists needed labels because recording equipment was really expensive. Labels owned the studios, covered the cost, and distributed the physical records. In exchange, they kept the masters and most of the revenue. Today, artists can record at home and release music online. Labels are less about studio time and more about money, marketing, and industry connections, like funding music videos, running PR campaigns, and setting up collaborations. To understand deals, you need to know a few key terms. 1. The artist share. The percentage of sales or revenue the artist keeps. It can range up from 10 up to 50%. The royalty rate. The percentage of revenue split between label and artist. Recoupable cost. Money the label spends upfront, like recording, marketing, videos, that must be paid back from the artist share before they see royalties. Advance. An upfront payment to the artist. It's recouped later, so it's really just an advance on future earnings. Commitment. What the artist agrees to deliver, like a certain number of albums or masters that meet technical and commercial standards. Now we go into the 5 main record deals in the music business. The first one, the traditional deal. The label pays for recording, marketing, and distribution, but owns the masters. The artist gets a small royalty, often 10 or 20%, and only after all costs and advances are recouped. The net profit deal, aka the joint venture. Here, artists and labels share costs and profits, usually 50-50, after expenses of course. The artist usually keeps ownership of the masters. This deal is simple, transparent, and popular with independents. The 360 deal. In the 360 deal, the label takes a cut of everything. Music, sales, touring, merch, sponsorships, and sometimes even publishing. In return, they provide big advances and long-term support. Great for stars with leverage, risky for newcomers. The license deal. The artist keeps the masters, but licenses them to a label for a fixed term, often 10 to 15 years. The label promotes and distributes the music during that time, but when the license ends, rights return to the artist. The distribution deal. The simplest and most independent option. A distributor gets your music onto streaming platforms and takes around 10 to 20% of the revenue. You keep ownership as an artist and also creative control, and some distributors offer extras like PR or advances. So, traditional deal, label owns everything, net profit is a fair split, 360 is label takes from all income, license is artist rents out masters, and distribution is artist stays independent. One important point to watch out for is the cross-collateralization. This means unrecouped debt from one deal can carry over into the next. For example, if album A loses money and album B is a hit, profits from album B might still be used to pay off album A. Always check for this clause before signing. So, record deals can launch careers, but they can also trap artists if you don't understand the fine print. Now you know the basics: artist share, recoupment, advances, and the 5 main types of deals. If you're an artist, always read carefully and get legal advice before signing anything. Thanks for watching. Subscribe for more music industry breakdowns and drop your questions in the comments below if you want to know more. Whether you sign with a label or you stay independent, your brand means everything. It's the story, the visuals, the identity that connects your music with the people. Let's break down how to build a brand that truly represents you as an artist. Every single day, over 100,000 new tracks hit streaming platforms. Most of them probably forgotten within hours. Now think about your favorite artist. What pops into your head first? Their latest song or their brand? The feeling they give you. The truth is, music gets you noticed, but brand makes you unforgettable. And today I'm going to show you how to build one that lasts. Part 1. What is a music brand? A music brand isn't just a logo or a stage name. It's a total package. How you look, how you sound, what you stand for, and the story fans tell about you. Music pulls people in, but your brand, that's what makes them stay. When someone hears your name, what do they feel? That feeling, whether it's energy, rebellion, or connection, that is your brand. And if you don't define it, the world will define it for you. Part 2. Why music alone isn't enough. Thousands of songs drop every single day. Even if your track is amazing, it's competing for attention with millions of others. Your brand is what makes you recognizable, memorable, and shareable. It's what turns a one-time listener into a lifelong fan. Think of it this way. Your songs are the chapters, but your brand is the complete book. Without the biggest story, it's just random pages. Part 3. The 5 pillars of a strong music brand. Let's break this down into 5 pillars of a strong music brand. Number 1. Visual identity. Your looks, your colors, your cover art, your lifestyle. Tiesto's brand screams premium. Private jets, residencies, champagne culture. His entire image says luxury experience. That's intentional. Number 2. Voice and message. What do you stand for? Are your lyrics about positivity, rebellion, escape? Fred again is a perfect example here. His voice as an artist is about vulnerability, capturing real-life moments and turning them into emotional, communal experiences. Number 3. Personality. This is all about you. Are you mysterious, approachable, outrageous? Martin Garrix's approachable and likable vibe is why so many fans feel like they know him. Number 4. Consistency. If your Instagram looks different from your shows and your music videos tell a third story, people will get confused. Consistency makes your band stick. Let's take Alesso. He's been consistent for years with his cinematic, melodic and uplifting style. And for over a decade, he still closes big main stages and festivals all around the globe. Number 5. Community. Brand isn't just about you, it's about them. Do your fans feel like they're part of something bigger? That's why Fred Again concert feels like family gatherings. Fans aren't just watching, they're part of the energy. Part 4. Some real-world examples. Tiesto's brand goes beyond tracks. He's built an image of luxury and exclusivity. Private jets, residencies, high-end lifestyle. Fans aren't just buying into his music. They're buying into the ideal of success and celebration he represents. Martin Garrix's brand is about approachability and excitement. His fans feel connected enough to wait hours at airports just for a glimpse. He genuinely feels like a friend you wish the best in everything he does. And Fred Again, his brand is built on raw honesty and pure authenticity. He records his friends' conversations, phone notes and even WhatsApp voice messages, and he turns them into tracks. Fans don't just love his music, they feel like they know his world. Alesso's brand has always leaned into cinematic and big energy. From closing all massive festival main stages with big fireworks to luxury aesthetics, his identity makes his music feel like an experience on its own. These aren't accidents, they're intentional branding choices that align completely with the artist behind it. And here's the key, you don't have to be at their level yet. You just have to be clear on your own vision and who you are. Part 5. How to build your brand, step by step. Okay, let's make this actionable. Here's how you can start building your own brand right now. Number 1. Define your core. Grab a notebook. Write down 3 words that describe your music and your personality. Maybe even your hobbies and interests. That's your foundation. Number 2. Audit your visuals. Look at your social media, your artworks, even your outfits you like to wear daily. Do they match those 3 words? If not, it's time to realign. Number 3. Craft your story. Every post should feel like part of your bigger narrative. Behind the scenes clips, live shows highlights, even casual TikToks and Reels. They should all reinforce your story. Number 4. Engage your community. Reply to comments, share fan art, shout out to listeners. People don't just want to hear your music, they want to connect with you. Part 6. Common mistakes to avoid. Here are the biggest mistakes artists make with branding. The first one is changing their style too often. It's confusing for fans. The second one is copying other artists instead of owning their own uniqueness and authentic self. And the last one, ignoring fans, treating them like numbers instead of people. Your brand isn't about pretending to be something you're not. It's about amplifying the real you in a way fans can connect with. That's what real authenticity looks like. So, if you're serious about making it in music, stop thinking only about your tracks. Start thinking about your brand. Because your songs are the soundtrack, but your brand is the world fans want to live in. Now I want to hear from you. What 3 words define your brand? Let me know. And if this video helped you, subscribe for more and share this with another artist who needs to hear it. See you in the next one. Your brand builds connection online, but your live shows build a connection in real life. Let's take a look at how booking agencies, promoters and agents actually work and how you can get paid for your live shows. The show must go on, but what does it really mean for you as an artist, DJ or producer trying to build a real career? Most people dream of sold-out tours, screaming fans and global stages. But before you can headline festivals or secure 5-figure booking fees, you need to understand how the live side of the music business actually works. In this video, I will break down booking agencies and live shows, how gigs are booked, what agents really do, the difference between guarantees and profit splits, why riders matter, and how billing on a festival lineup can make or break your career. Chapter 1. Why live shows matter. Recording music is where it all starts, but live shows are where an artist truly becomes a superstar. Performing live builds your stage presence, grows your fan base, and creates confidence. But more importantly, live performances are the #1 income stream for most artists today. Whether you're a DJ in a local club, a rapper at a small festival, or a band touring internationally. Stage time is growth time. It extends your reach into new cities and countries, while also sharpening you as a performer. Chapter 2. How shows are booked. So how does the process actually work? Here's the typical chain. A venue owner rents out their space to a promoter, then a promoter organizes the event, the promoter contacts the artist manager or booking agency, and together they negotiate fees, riders, lineup positions, and performance details. This negotiation decides everything. Your booking fee, your set time, and even your font size on the flyer. And trust me, it all matters. Chapter 3. Booking fees and landed fees. You've probably heard about crazy numbers like Beyoncé or Calvin Harris making millions for a single show. That's the booking fee, the price a promoter pays to get you on stage. Now, sometimes that fee is landed. That means it includes flights, hotels, transportation, basically a full package price. Other times, those expenses are added on top of your booking fee, meaning the promoter covers flights, hotels, and even visas. The bigger you get, the bigger your demands, and the bigger the bill. Chapter 4. Guarantees versus profit splits. This is where the real money comes in. A guarantee is your base pay. The promoter takes up all the risk. A profit split deal means if the event crushes it, you get a percentage of the profit on top of your guarantee. Example, if your guarantee is $50,000 and the net profit is $100,000, with an 80-20 split for you, you take home an extra $30,000. This rewards artists who bring massive crowds and energy to the show. If you're playing in the Champions League of touring, profit splits are where you want to be. Chapter 5. Riders. Let's talk riders. The infamous blue M&M's only clause. There are two types. Hospitality rider, this includes food, drinks, towels, backstage requests. Then we got the technical rider. Stage, sound and equipment requirements. Those aren't just rockstar luxuries. They ensure you have exactly what you need to deliver your best performance. And yes, sometimes artists push it too far just to test promoters. But at a professional level, riders are critical. Chapter 6. Billing and lineup. Now here's something artists often overlook. The billing. Billing is how your name appears on the lineup. Headliners is usually the biggest names on the lineup, the top font size, prime set times, etc. The mid-tier artists are solid support, building credibility, and the openers are usually the smaller acts with early slots and a tiny font on the lineup. Festival billing is branding. Where your name appears influences how fans and industry professionals perceive you. And yes, managers and agents fight hard for better placement because it builds long-term value. Chapter 7. Booking agencies. So what exactly does a booking agency do? A booking agency represents you in the live music industry. Their job is to find shows and tours, negotiate fees and deals, handle contracts, riders and logistics, and connect with promoters, venues and festivals. In exchange, they usually take 10 to 20% of your net booking fee. That's after expenses like flights and hotels are deducted. The key thing to know is this. Most major promoters only work with agencies. Signing with a respected booking agency can instantly level up your career. Because their network opens doors you simply cannot open on your own. So here's the truth. Live shows are not just about music. They're about business, branding, and strategy. From booking fees and riders to profit splits and agencies. Understanding this system is what separates hobbyists from professionals. If you want to succeed in music long term, you need to treat your live career like a real business. Watch my full 1-hour music business roadmap next, where I cover the mindset, the deals, the royalties, and the strategies every artist needs. I'll link it right here on screen. And if this video helped you, hit that like button, subscribe, and drop your biggest takeaway in the comments. I'll see you in the next one. At this point, you know how the business works, how to make money, and how to grow as an artist. But success means nothing if you lose touch with your art. So let's end with what really matters. Your service, your creativity, and staying true to the music. Most artists start their career thinking one thing. If I just make music I love, people will eventually get it. But here's the hard truth. Making music for yourself is not enough. Because the moment you hit upload, it stops being your song. It becomes somebody else's soundtrack. their breakup song, their workout anthem, their reminder to keep going when life gets heavy. Rubin says in The Creative Act that art isn't about self-expression. It's about channeling something bigger than you and offering it as a gift. And when you understand that, everything changes. Your pressure drops, your creativity flows, and your music finally connects. Today, we're talking about why your art is service, not just self-expression, and how this mindset can completely shift the way you approach your music career. Here's the trap most artists fall into. We think music is about proving ourselves, showing people we're talented, making a statement like, look at me, I'm special. But here's the problem. If your art is only about you, it's limited. People might respect it, but they won't feel it. Rubin flips this on its head. He says the artist is not the star. The artist is the messenger. You're not here to show off. You're here to deliver something bigger than you. Think about your favorite song, the one that saved you when you were at your lowest. The artist didn't write it specifically for you, but it served you anyway. That's the true purpose of music. Here's what that means. When you are creating, you can't obsess over your audience. If you try to please them, the art will die. You have to create, honestly, with zero filter. But once a song exists, it's no longer yours. It's a gift, a message, something the world can use however it needs to. That's art as a service. You create with freedom, you release with humility, and you let the music do its work out in the world. And this isn't just theory. Look at the greats. Bob Dylan, he hated being called the voice of a generation. He always said he was just writing what came through him. The songs weren't his to own. And even Adele, her heartbreak albums weren't just her personal diary. They became our soundtracks for healing. That's service. When art is personal but honest, it transforms into something universal. So how do you actually apply this idea of art as service to your career? Here are 5 lessons. Number 1. Create freely. Edit later. Don't think about trends or algorithms while you're making. Serve the truth of the moment. Number 2. Release without attachment. Once it's out, it's not yours anymore. Some people will love it, some won't. That's not your job to control. Number 3. Focus on the listener's experience. Ask, what do people feel when they hear this? Inspired, comforted, energized? Serve that emotional need. Number 4. Let go of perfectionism. Rubin says, finished is better than perfect. Perfection is about protecting your own ego. Service is about letting the art live where it can help others. Number 5. Remember your higher purpose. Why do you make music? To connect, to heal, to inspire? When you tap into that, the grind feels lighter, because you're not doing it just for yourself anymore. At the end of the day, making music isn't about chasing validation, it's about contribution. When you stop creating just to prove yourself and start creating to serve, you'll notice the shift. Less pressure, more freedom, deeper connection with your audience. So here's my challenge for you. The next time you sit down to write, produce or perform, don't ask, will people like this? Ask, who might this help? Who might this serve? Because somebody out there is waiting for the song only you can give. If you want more videos like this, deep dives on mindset, creativity and the real music business, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss the next one. Thanks for watching and I'll see you in the next one. So that's a full picture. From mindset to money, from ownership to creativity. The modern music industry rewards artists who understand both art and independence. Keep learning, keep creating, but most importantly, stay true to your sound. Thanks for watching the ultimate guide to the music business for independent artists. See you in the next one.